The night was quiet, too quiet. The human named Daniel walked slowly along the empty road, his flashlight cutting a thin line through the darkness. He had been driving home when his truck broke down on the side of the highway, and now he carried a small toolkit in his hand hoping to fix it. The wind whispered through the trees, cold and sharp. Daniel could feel that something about this night was not normal. He stopped near his truck, put the flashlight down and opened the hood. The engine was silent, no spark, no life. Just the sound of wind in the distance, Daniel muttered to himself. Why tonight of all nights? He reached into the engine but then froze. There was another sound, soft footsteps coming from behind. Slow, careful, like someone trying not to be heard. Daniel turned quickly, his heart beating fast. The flashlight beam moved across the road, across the trees, and then stopped. Someone was standing there, just outside the reach of the light. A figure, thin and trembling. Daniel narrowed his eyes. "Who's there?" he called. His voice firm, the figure stepped forward, and the light fell on her face. It was not the face of any human. Her skin glowed faintly blue, like the surface of a lake under the moon. Her eyes were large, silver, and filled with fear. Her hair fell like strands of metal. Glowing faintly in the dark, Daniel's mouth went dry. He could not believe what he was seeing. An alien girl standing right in front of him. She lifted her hand slowly, and Daniel saw something in it, a strange object, glowing faint red and pulsing like a heartbeat. It looked unstable, dangerous. Her voice broke the silence, sharp and desperate. "Touch it," she said, her accent heavy. Her words strange but clear. "Touch it before I do it myself." Daniel stepped back, shocked. "What are you talking about?" he asked. Her hand trembled, the glowing object shaking violently. Her silver eyes locked onto his, full of urgency. "You must. Human," she whispered. "If you don't, I will, and it will end us both." The air grew hotter around the object, the sound of energy humming from it. Daniel felt sweat on his forehead even in the cold night. He looked at her face, pale and desperate. He could see she was close to collapsing. Her hand was shaking so much it seemed the device might slip. Daniel raised his hand slowly. "Listen, I don't even know what that thing is." Her voice grew louder, sharp like a blade. "Do it now," she shouted. "Touch it before I do it myself." The words hit him like thunder. He had no idea if this was a trap or if she was trying to save them, but he could feel the seriousness in her tone. She was not joking, she was not lying, she was terrified. Daniel took one step forward, then stopped. The wind roared suddenly, almost pushing him back. The girl's silver eyes glistened with tears. Her lips shaking, she whispered again, softer this time. "Please, don't make me do it alone." Daniel's heart raced. He had seen many strange things in his life, but nothing like this. A lost alien girl, standing under the broken night sky, holding a dangerous glowing device, and she was begging him to touch it. His instincts screamed danger, but something about her fear felt real. She looked young, fragile, yet strong enough to carry something powerful. The device pulsed faster, the humming louder. It was counting down like a living bomb. Daniel swallowed hard. "Why me?" he asked, trying to buy time. Her answer was quick, almost broken. "Because only you can, human. Only you." The night felt heavier, the darkness pressing around them. Daniel's truck behind him, the alien girl in front of him. His choices shrinking by the second. Either he believed her and touched the strange thing, or he walked away and risked both of them vanishing in a burst of alien fire. Her hand rose higher, her voice cracked. "One last time, human, touch it, or I will do it myself." The glow lit up her face. Silver eyes shining bright, Daniel stood frozen, sweat dripping, fear building. The strange encounter was no longer just a chance meeting. It was the beginning of something far bigger than he could understand. And in that moment he realized his life would never be the same again. Daniel's hand trembled as he stared at the strange glowing thing in the alien girl's palm. The red light pulsed faster, each beat louder, as if the object itself had a heart. The humming filled the night air, making the ground under his boots vibrate. It was not just a tool, not just a machine, it felt alive. Daniel's gut told him this was no ordinary device. This was dangerous. The girl's silver eyes did not blink. Her voice was sharp and quick. "If you don't touch it now, it will break. And then nothing will stop the fire." Daniel swallowed hard, his throat dry. "What is it?" he asked, his voice shaky. "What happens if I touch it?" She shook her head, hair shining faintly like threads of metal under the truck's dim light. You don't need to know, you just need to do it. Or it will end us. Daniel wanted to step back, but his legs wouldn't move. Something about the girl's voice, the way she said the word end, made his blood freeze. He glanced at her hand again, the device sparking with strange blue arcs. It looked unstable, like a broken bomb ready to explode. He knew if this went wrong, the blast would take both of them and maybe half the road with it. The alien girl groaned softly, her arm shaking harder now. Her body leaned forward as if the object was draining her strength. Daniel realized she couldn't hold it for much longer. If he waited, she would collapse and the device might hit the ground. That thought made his chest tighten. He muttered to himself, "Damn it, this is insane." Still, he stepped closer, his heart pounding like a drum in his chest. The heat coming off the device burned the air, making it shimmer. His hand reached forward slowly, every nerve screaming at him to stop. But the girl's eyes widened in hope and she whispered, "Yes, yes." Faster. Daniel's fingers hovered above the glowing surface. For a moment, the device seemed to notice him, its pulse changing rhythm, almost like it recognized something inside him. The humming grew sharper and Daniel felt his bones vibrate. "What is this thing?" he hissed. The girl answered through clenched teeth, "It's a bond key, human." "Only you can unlock it," Daniel blinked, confused. "Bond key? What are you talking about?" Her answer came quick, desperate. "No time. Just do it." Before he could argue, the object flared, sending a sharp crack of energy into the air. The blast of light nearly blinded him. Daniel gasped and finally pressed his hand against it. The moment his skin touched the surface, everything changed. A wave of energy exploded into his body. His heart skipped a beat, his lungs froze. It felt like fire and ice rushing through his veins at the same time. Daniel's vision blurred. Colors twisting into strange shapes, he saw flashes, glimpses of stars he had never seen. Alien cities glowing in the dark, voices whispering in a language he didn't know. It was like his mind had been plugged into a storm. The alien girl cried out, stumbling forward, her other hand clutching his arm. As soon as she touched him, the energy stabilized. Daniel felt her heartbeat through the bond, fast and scared, but alive. The red glow of the device shifted to white, pure and calm. The humming softened into a steady rhythm. Like breathing, Daniel gasped. Pulling his hand back, the object didn't vanish, but it floated in the air for a second before fading into his skin. He jerked, staring at his palm. There was a faint mark glowing faintly. Like a burn, he rubbed it hard, but the mark stayed. "What the hell did you do to me?" he shouted, panic rising. The alien girl collapsed to her knees, her chest rising and falling fast. She looked up at him with weak eyes. "I didn't do it, human," she whispered. "You did, you touched it, now it belongs to you." Daniel shook his head, trying to make sense of her words. His body still shook with leftover energy, his heartbeat too fast. He felt stronger and weaker at the same time, like something was inside him now, watching him, waiting. "What does it mean?" he asked, his voice sharp. The girl pushed herself up slowly, her silver eyes dim with exhaustion. "It means you and I are linked, bonded by the key," she said softly. "And now, they will come for us." Daniel froze, the cold night suddenly feeling colder. "They? Who the hell is they?" She didn't answer right away. Instead, her gaze darted to the dark line of trees across the road. Her eyes widened and she whispered, "Too late. They're already here." The sound came next, low at first, then louder. Engines, heavy ones, moving fast through the forest. Daniel turned his flashlight, but the beam only lit shadows. Still, he could feel the ground shake as something approached. The alien girl staggered closer to him, clutching his arm tightly. Her voice trembled. "Whatever happens, human, don't let go, or we're both dead." Daniel looked at the faint glowing mark in his palm. He didn't understand it, didn't want it, but it was too late. The dangerous object was gone, but its power was inside him now, and so was she. As the sound of engines grew closer, Daniel realized one terrible truth. The real danger hadn't even started yet. Daniel's chest rose and fell as the forest around him seemed to come alive. Engines roared closer, breaking the silence of the night. The ground vibrated beneath his boots, each tremor heavier than the last. He glanced at the alien girl who still clung to his arm, her silver eyes glowing faint in the dark. Her lips trembled, but her voice was firm. "They found us." Daniel tightened his grip on the wrench he had pulled from his toolkit earlier. It was useless against whatever was coming, but it was all he had. His free hand still burned faintly where the mark glowed under his skin. The strange energy hummed inside him. Alive and restless, he didn't understand it. But he could feel it waiting for him to act. "What the hell did you drag me into?" Daniel muttered. The girl shook her head, her metallic strands of hair shimmering in the glow of his flashlight. "You chose when you touched it, human. Now you cannot turn away." Her words cut deeper than the cold air. He wanted to shout at her to demand answers. But the rumble in the woods grew louder. The first vehicle broke through the tree line. It wasn't like any truck or car Daniel had ever seen. It was sleek, black, floating inches above the ground. Powered by humming engines, strange glowing symbols ran across its sides. The vehicle stopped with a sharp hiss and shadows climbed out. Tall, armored figures with weapons that shimmered in the night. Daniel's breath caught. They weren't human. Their faces hidden under curved helmets, their armor sharp like blades. One of them pointed toward him and the girl, a metallic voice breaking the night. "There." She bonded it. The girl gripped Daniel's arm tighter, her voice cracking. "No, not me, him," she whispered. The soldiers' helmets turned in unison, their eyes falling on Daniel. He felt his stomach twist. The leader raised his weapon, a long spear crackling with blue fire. "Human, surrender the bond key," the voice commanded. Daniel's pulse raced. "I don't even know what you're talking about." The alien girl stepped in front of him, spreading her arms. "He can't. It's inside him now. Kill him and the key dies with him." The soldiers froze for a moment, whispering to each other in a language Daniel couldn't understand. But their weapons didn't lower. Daniel felt the humming inside his chest grow stronger, like the bond was answering the threat. His palm glowed faintly, light spilling through his fingers. The girl glanced at him, her face pale but determined. "Choose now." "Human," she said in a rush. "Run with me, fight with me, or give yourself to them." Her words struck him like a knife. Daniel stared at the soldiers, then at her, then at his glowing hand. He had seconds to decide. The leader of the soldiers stepped forward, his voice sharp. "You are outnumbered. Human, do not resist. Hand her over and we will let you live." Daniel's jaw tightened. He wanted to believe them, but every instinct screamed they were lying. They would kill him the moment they got the bond key. His mind raced. He could run back to his truck, but the engine was dead. He could hand the girl over, but something about her desperate eyes told him she was telling the truth. If he abandoned her, whatever this key was would burn him alive inside. He didn't know how he knew, but he felt it deep in his bones. The girl leaned closer, whispering in his ear, "Trust me, human. The bond chose you for a reason. Don't let them take it." Her words were shaky, almost pleading, but they lit a fire in his chest. Daniel clenched his glowing hand, his heart hammering. He had been an ordinary man just an hour ago, but now the universe demanded he choose. The leader raised his spear higher, ready to strike. Daniel shouted back, his voice louder than he expected, "I'm not giving you anything." The soldiers hesitated for a breath, then lunged forward. The moment they moved, the humming inside Daniel roared. His palm flared white and a wave of light burst out. The shockwave hit the soldiers, throwing them back against their vehicle. The ground cracked under the force. Dust and sparks flying, Daniel stumbled back. Gasping, his hand smoking, he stared at his palm wide-eyed. "What the hell was that?" he whispered. The girl's lips curved into a weak smile. "That, human, is the bond choosing for you," the soldiers groaned. Climbing back to their feet, their armor scorched but not broken, the leader pointed at him again, his voice colder now. "Capture him alive. The bond must not spread." Daniel's heart pounded as the soldiers advanced once more. The girl grabbed his wrist, pulling him toward the trees. "Run, human! Now?" Daniel looked back at his broken truck, his old life sitting just a few feet away. Then he looked at the glowing mark on his hand, the alien girl dragging him into the dark. And he knew there was no going back. For the first time in his life, Daniel wasn't choosing just for himself. He was choosing for her, for whatever destiny the bond had forced on him. And though fear burned inside him, he ran. The night swallowed them both, the soldiers chasing close behind. The human who never wanted to be part of this fight was now the only one who could not escape it. The forest swallowed Daniel and the alien girl as they ran deeper into the shadows. Branches whipped against his arms. Roots snagged his boots, but he didn't stop. Behind them, the soldiers crashed through the trees, their engines growling like beasts, their weapons glowing in the night. Daniel's lungs burned, his muscles screamed. But every time he thought about slowing down, the girl pulled his arm harder, her silver eyes flashing in the dark. At last they stumbled into a small clearing, the faint moonlight spilling down through the branches. Daniel bent over, gasping for air, sweat dripping from his forehead. The mark on his hand glowed brighter now, almost pulsing with his heartbeat. It wasn't just inside him, it was alive. He pressed his palm against his chest, feeling the heat radiate. "What's happening to me?" he muttered, his voice shaking. The alien girl dropped to her knees, clutching her side, her breath shallow. Her hair shimmered weakly, the metallic strands dulled. When she looked up at him, her lips trembled. "The bond is forming," Daniel frowned. "What bond?" "What are you talking about?" She reached forward, her thin fingers brushing the glowing mark on his hand. The moment she touched it, Daniel gasped, a rush of energy bursting through him. His vision flickered, and suddenly he wasn't just standing in the forest anymore. He saw flashes, memories not his own. A child running through silver fields under a twin sun. A city with tall towers glowing like crystal. Shadows of war. Soldiers in the same armor chasing her people, and then loneliness. Pain, chains, escape. Daniel staggered back, his head spinning. What was that?" he whispered. Clutching his temples, the girl lowered her eyes, her voice soft. "It was me, human. The bond shows pieces of who I am, because now part of me lives inside you." Daniel shook his head violently. "No, that's impossible. I'm not part of your world, I'm just a mechanic." "I don't want any of this." She looked at him, her silver eyes glistening with tears. "You touched it. The bond key chose you. Now you cannot run from it." Daniel's chest tightened. He wanted to deny it, to walk away, to pretend this was a nightmare. But when he glanced at his glowing palm, he knew she was telling the truth. The mark burned brighter with every heartbeat, and deep inside he could feel her presence, her fear, her exhaustion, her fragile hope. He could feel it as if it was his own. He stared at her trembling body, the way she tried to hide her pain. And in that moment, Daniel realized something even stranger. She was weak, but he was stronger now. The energy inside him pulsed with power, his legs steady again, his lungs calmer. It was like her strength had flowed into him, even as she weakened. The sound of engines in the distance reminded him they didn't have long. Daniel knelt beside her, his voice urgent. "Tell me how to stop this, how to break it." Her head shook slowly. "You can't break it, you can only use it, or it will consume you." She reached for his wrist again, her hand trembling. "Do you feel it, human?" The thread between us. Daniel closed his eyes, and for the first time he noticed it, a faint pull inside his chest, stretching out and tying him to her. It wasn't a rope, it wasn't chains, but it was unbreakable, a connection deeper than words. He opened his eyes, his voice low. "This bond, it's real." She nodded weakly, her lips forming a whisper. "Now you see we are not two anymore. We are one." Daniel sat back, his mind racing. He didn't want this, but some part of him couldn't deny the strange comfort it gave. Her presence inside him wasn't only fear and pain. There was warmth too, like she had been alone for so long, and now she wasn't. The thought unsettled him, yet it also pulled at his heart. A crack echoed through the woods, blue sparks lighting the trees. The soldiers were closer again, their weapons cutting through branches. The girl grabbed his sleeve, her eyes wide. "Use it, human, use the bond, or we die here." Daniel swallowed hard, his mind screaming no, but his heart thundering yes. The mark on his hand glowed hotter, his entire arm tingling with strange energy. He raised his palm toward the trees without even thinking. A flash of white light burst out, carving through the branches like lightning. The soldiers shouted, scattering as the blast tore the ground apart. Daniel stumbled, gasping, the glow fading from his hand. I did that," he whispered in disbelief. The girl's lips curved into the faintest smile. "Yes, human, that was us. The bond gives us strength together. But it drains me when you use it." Daniel looked at her, seeing how pale she had become. "You're dying because of this," he said sharply. Her voice was weak but steady. "Not dying sharing, I give, you give. We survive together." Daniel clenched his jaw, guilt pressing heavy in his chest. He hadn't asked for this, but she had carried it alone before him, and now he understood. She wasn't lying when she begged him. If she had tried to hold it herself, she would already be gone. Another blast of blue fire lit the forest, the soldiers regrouping, their voices growing closer. The girl leaned against him, whispering, We have to move, human. The bond has chosen. Now we fight together. Daniel stood tall, his hand still glowing faint, his jaw set. For the first time, he didn't feel like a mechanic lost in the wrong place. He felt like something more, something the universe itself had dragged into a fight. The bond was inside him now, burning, waiting, and though fear still gripped his heart, Daniel knew one thing for sure. He would not abandon her. Not tonight, not ever. The forest trembled with heavy steps. The sound of engines cut through the night, mixed with the harsh hiss of weapons charging. Daniel stood tall, his chest rising and falling, his palm glowing faintly. The alien girl leaned against him, her body weak but her eyes sharp and focused. "They are here, human," she whispered. "The hunters never stop once they have your scent." Daniel gritted his teeth, gripping the wrench he still carried. It felt useless compared to the strange power humming in his veins, but he couldn't let go of the tool. It reminded him of who he was before all this madness. A mechanic, not a soldier, not a fighter, just a man who fixed engines. Yet now the galaxy had thrown a war into his hands. The first hunter stepped into the clearing, his armor shining black under the moon. Blue lines glowed across his chest plate, and his helmet gleamed with sharp silver eyes. He carried a spear that buzzed with violent energy. 2 more hunters followed, then 3, then more, until the clearing was filled with armored figures. Their movements were perfect, like wolves circling prey. Daniel and the girl were trapped. The leader stepped forward, his voice echoing cold through the helmet. "Human, you carry what is not yours. Surrender it, and your death will be painless." Daniel's hand burned brighter at those words, the bond flaring as if angered. He raised his palm instinctively, the white glow spilling across the clearing. "I didn't ask for this," he shouted, "but if you want it, come take it." The hunters hissed in unison, a chilling sound. Weapons rose, spears and blades crackling with energy. The girl grabbed Daniel's wrist, her silver eyes wide. "Not alone, human. Let the bond guide you." Daniel closed his eyes for a split second, and then he felt it again. The thread inside his chest pulling toward her. Her fear, her strength, her heartbeat, all of it flowed into him. He opened his eyes, and the glow in his hand burned brighter than ever. The first hunter charged, his spear aimed at Daniel's chest. Daniel swung his palm forward, and a wave of white light burst out. The force slammed into the hunter, throwing him back into the trees, armor cracking against the trunk. Daniel stumbled but didn't fall, his body trembling as the energy rushed through him. The other hunters growled and rushed together, their weapons flashing in the dark. Daniel raised his hand again, but this time the glow sputtered, weaker. The girl gasped and gripped his arm, whispering through clenched teeth, "Together, not alone, let me in." Daniel looked at her, confused, then closed his eyes. He let the bond open wider, and suddenly the power didn't just flow from him. It flowed between them, her silver eyes glowed, her hands pressing against his. A surge of energy erupted, stronger than before. The hunters stopped in their tracks, shielding themselves from the blinding light. Daniel roared as the bond unleashed itself. The ground cracked beneath their feet, trees bent under the shock wave. 3 hunters were thrown into the air, crashing against rocks, their armor sparking. For a moment the clearing was silent except for the hum of Daniel's glowing hand. He collapsed to his knees, gasping for air. The girl knelt beside him, her lips pale but her eyes fierce. "Do you see now, human? The bond makes us one. And together we are strong." Daniel stared at his hand, trembling. "But it's killing you, I can feel it." She smiled faintly, her voice soft. "No, it's sharing, pain and power. Both are ours now." Before Daniel could answer, the leader of the hunters stepped forward, his armor scorched but unbroken. He lifted his spear high, and the blue energy flared brighter. "You cannot run, human," the voice growled. "The bond is forbidden, and we will tear it from your body." Daniel forced himself to stand, his legs heavy but steady. The girl rose beside him, clutching his sleeve. Her voice shook but held defiance. "You will not take him, he is mine now." "And I am his." The hunters roared in anger and charged again. Daniel braced himself, his glowing hand raised. The bond pulsed in his chest, the girl's heartbeat pounding in sync with his. The first spear struck, but Daniel caught it with his bare hand. The glow spread across the weapon, shattering it into pieces. The hunters hesitated, stunned. Daniel's voice thundered louder than he thought possible. "You want the bond? You'll have to break me first." The clearing lit with battle, energy flashing, trees burning. The night filled with the clash of alien hunters against a human who never wanted this fight. But now, standing with the alien girl at his side, Daniel knew he had no choice. The hunters had come for him, and he would not let them win. The clearing was filled with smoke and the sharp crackle of broken branches. The hunters regrouped, their armor scorched but their resolve unshaken. Daniel stood in the center, chest heaving, his glowing hand trembling at his side. The alien girl leaned against him, her strength fading fast, but her silver eyes burned with fire. Daniel could feel her heartbeat inside his chest through the bond. It was weak, uneven, yet steady enough to remind him she was alive. Every time he had unleashed the strange power, it drained her more than him. He could feel it in his bones. Each strike he made was a cost she was paying. And that truth tore at him harder than the threat of death. The leader of the hunters stepped forward, his armor cracked but his stance proud. "You are only delaying the inevitable, human," the metallic voice echoed. "Every moment you hold the bond, she weakens, and when she falls, you will follow." Daniel's jaw clenched, his heart pounding. He looked at the girl beside him, her shoulders trembling, sweat shining on her pale skin. She tried to stand tall, but he could feel her pain through the bond. She whispered, "Don't listen. They want to break you." But Daniel could see the truth hidden in her words. She was suffering, and he was the cause. The hunters began to circle again, their weapons glowing brighter. Daniel raised his hand, but he hesitated this time. If he fought again, if he pushed the bond harder, it might kill her, and yet if he stopped, the hunters would kill them both. His mind raced, caught between impossible choices. Run and abandon her, or fight and destroy her. Give himself to the hunters, or trust the bond to guide them further. The night pressed in around him. Heavy and suffocating, the alien girl reached up, her hand brushing his cheek. Her touch was cold but gentle, her voice soft. "Human, don't be afraid. This is not only your fight, it's ours." Daniel swallowed hard, shaking his head. "You don't understand. Every time I use it, it hurts you." She smiled faintly, her silver eyes glowing even in weakness. "That's the bond, we share pain. But we also share hope, and right now you are my hope." Her words struck him deeper than any weapon could. Daniel closed his eyes, breathing heavy. He had lived his life fixing machines, running from nothing greater than late bills or broken engines. But now an entire destiny was tied to his heartbeat, and for the first time, someone was depending on him not just to survive, but to believe the hunters advance, their weapons humming. The leader's voice cut through the clearing. "Surrender the bond, human. Give it up and walk away alive." Daniel opened his eyes. His glare sharp, he shouted back, "If I give it up, she dies. And I'm not letting that happen." The hunters hissed in anger and rushed forward. Daniel felt the bond flare inside him, the girl's heartbeat syncing with his. But this time he didn't fight against it. He embraced it. The energy surged stronger than before, but softer too, like a river flowing instead of a storm. The glow in his hand spread across his body, wrapping him in light. The girl gasped, her eyes wide. You're controlling it," she whispered. Daniel gritted his teeth, lifting his hand high. "No, we're controlling it," he corrected. His voice firm, the hunters struck first, spears slashing through the air. Daniel moved faster than he thought possible. The light shielded him, bending their weapons away like they were striking water. He swung his arm and a wave of energy rippled out, knocking two hunters flat on their backs. He didn't feel the same crushing pain as before. Instead, he felt the bond guiding him, balancing their strength, but the leader wasn't finished. He lunged forward with his crackling spear. Aiming for the girl, Daniel stepped in front of her. Catching the spear with his glowing palm, the energy clashed. Blue fire against white light, sparks flying into the night. Daniel roared, pushing back with all his strength. The spear shattered in the leader's hands, fragments of glowing metal scattering across the ground. The hunters froze, stunned by what they had seen. Daniel's body shook, his knees weak, but he stood tall. His voice rang out steady and strong. "You came to hunt me, but I'm done running. If you want this bond, you'll have to tear it from both of us." The clearing went silent for a heartbeat. Then the hunters let out a roar, their weapons raised again. The girl clutched Daniel's arm, whispering urgently, "They won't stop, not until one of us falls." Daniel looked at her, his chest tight. "Then I choose," he said softly. "I choose to fight with you no matter what it costs." Her eyes widened, tears glistening. "You would do that, human?" she asked. Her voice breaking, Daniel nodded firmly. "I don't care if it kills me. I'm not letting you face this alone. The bond pulsed brighter than ever, light pouring from both of them. The hunters shielded their eyes as the clearing erupted in white fire. Daniel felt the girl's strength flow into him, and his strength flow into her. For the first time, they were perfectly balanced. Two hearts beating as one, the hunters screamed, charging into the storm of light. But Daniel and the alien girl stood together. Unbroken, their choice had been made, and now the galaxy would feel its weight. The clearing burned with light and smoke. Shattered branches littered the ground, and the air was heavy with the stench of scorched metal. The hunters regrouped, circling tighter, their armor cracked, but their eyes burning with fury behind silver helmets. Daniel stood in the center with the alien girl at his side, his glowing hand pulsing like a second heart, her silver eyes locked on his, steady now, no longer filled with fear but with trust. Daniel could feel her strength inside him through the bond. Her heartbeat and his heartbeat moved as one. Every breath she took echoed in his chest. Every tremor of fear in her body turned into fire in his veins. He was no longer just Daniel the mechanic. He was something more, something greater. The leader of the hunters raised a broken spear, his metallic voice sharp. You defy the law, human. The bond is forbidden. For this you both will die. Daniel's jaw tightened, his glowing palm rising slowly. No, we live. And if you want to stop us, you'll have to break us together. The hunters roared and charged. Daniel and the alien girl moved as one, the bond guiding their every step. A wall of white light erupted from his hand, blocking the first wave of spears. The hunters crashed against it, their weapons sparking and shattering. Daniel pushed forward, his voice roaring like thunder. You wanted a fight, now you've got one. Energy rippled through the clearing, blasting two hunters off their feet. The girl raised her trembling hands, silver sparks glowing between her fingers. Through the bond, Daniel felt her will, her determination. She shouted. Together, and their power merged into a single storm. The ground cracked, roots tearing free as a shockwave spread outward. Hunters were thrown into the air, their armor denting against the earth. The leader staggered but did not fall. His voice was a growl of rage. You cannot win, human. The bond will consume you. Daniel glared, his voice firm. Then let it. I'd rather be consumed than live without her. The alien girl's silver eyes widened. Tears glistening, she whispered softly into his mind, not with words but with feeling. You would choose me even now. Daniel's chest tightened, his voice steady. Yes, I already have. The bond pulsed brighter. So bright it lit the entire forest like daylight. The hunters stumbled, shielding themselves from the glow. Daniel felt energy rushing through his veins. But it didn't burn this time. It carried warmth, strength, love. The girl's pain softened as their power balanced perfectly. They were no longer draining each other. They were lifting each other higher. The leader roared and charged, his cracked spear glowing with desperate fury. Daniel met him head-on, their clash exploding in a wave of sparks. For a moment, the world held its breath. Then the spear shattered completely. Exploding in fragments, the leader fell to his knees, his armor glowing red with heat. Daniel stood over him, the light in his palm burning like fire. The other hunters froze, their weapons lowering. They stared at the human and the alien girl glowing together. Their metallic voices whispered in disbelief. The bond. Completed. The forbidden is real. The leader raised his head weakly, his voice hoarse. This is not over, human. The galaxy will hunt you both. Daniel knelt down, his voice cold but steady. Then let them. Because I'm done running, and I won't let anyone take her from me. The hunters backed away slowly, their formation broken. One by one, they retreated into the forest, dragging the wounded with them. Their vehicles roared to life and disappeared into the night. The clearing grew silent again, save for the sound of Daniel's heavy breathing. The glow on his hand finally dimmed, fading into a faint mark once more. Daniel fell to his knees, exhausted. The alien girl collapsed beside him, leaning her head against his shoulder. He could feel her heartbeat still inside his chest. Steady and alive, she whispered weakly. You chose me, human. Why? Daniel looked down at her, a faint smile breaking through his sweat and exhaustion. Because no one should face the world alone. Not you, not anymore. Her silver eyes softened, a tear sliding down her cheek. She closed her eyes, whispering. Then maybe the bond was never a curse, maybe it was a gift. The night was quiet once more. The hunters were gone, but Daniel knew this was only the beginning. The galaxy would come. Others would try to tear them apart. But as he looked at the mark on his hand and the fragile girl resting against him, he felt no fear. For the first time in his life, he felt ready. He whispered into the cold air, his voice steady. "Next time, you won't have to warn me. I'll stand beside you from the start." The bond pulsed faintly in answer, warm and alive. And together, human and alien sat in the broken clearing. No longer strangers, no longer separate, but one, ready to face whatever the universe threw at them next.